Welcome back to part 6, and in this part we're going to be looking at measuring the buttonhole ready for a steek. Alright, I've got my gauge at the bottom of my selvage. Remember, the customer's total length is 23. There it is there, 23. But I'm looking for the top of the waist, and that's at 21. So what I do is, at 21, I'll make a mark. Now, I've tried to sharpen this. Can you see? I sharpen one side and then the other side. So I'm just making it a mark. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's 21. There it is there. Right. Now my buttonhole is going to go in the middle of that. So where these two seams meet, I haven't sewn them up yet. I first have to prepare for this. So move that. It's kind of like on those two blacks. There it is there. And there's another one there. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm preparing in my future presentations for this belt strap to be going through there. I'm not cutting any of the material down there yet. All I'm doing is I'm preparing it. So what I'm going to be doing now is preparing this section there, preparing that section there. I'm not going to bar tack it just yet because I haven't done the inside. I haven't done the inside yet. So I'll leave all of this for final finishings. So I'm going to be doing a little bar tack there, only to prepare. And then a little bar tack there, only to prepare. And then I'm coming up all the way on the greens. So I just need to reinforce that section there. Remember, there's our first seam, which we don't sew because our outer apron goes onto there. So this is our second seam. And we've already stitched from the hip all the way up. Now I need to make space for my buttonhole. There's the buttonhole there. So I'm going to bar tack that ever so gently. Then I'm going to bar tack that ever so gently, and then parallel up to finish the seams. I only have a small piece of silk. I don't have a lot because I only just need to tie it off. So remember, I've got my thumb there for support. There's my thumb. My index finger's down at the bottom. Now, what's pretty cool for this one is that these lines, that black line there and that black line there, is the width of my belt. And that's exactly what I'm going to be stitching. So a little bit bigger there and a little bit bigger there. That's what we're going to be looking at there. So what's going to be happening is I'm going to be putting my brass buckle over there, and this is in another presentation to come. So this strap is going to go through the inside of your body, going through the belt buckle, and it's going to be about over there. So it's going to look nice and neat. This is a 25 millimeter, and it's going to look like that. Really, really pretty. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be doing now. So I'm just on the inside. To hide my knot. There's the knot. Can you see the knot there? I'm putting it in the equator. Sometimes it's quite handy to have a nice small pair of scissors like I got there. Alright, so all I'm going to be doing is tying it off. And I did do this when I stitched that up there and I stopped there. So I don't mind just on the black there. We'll just do another one. And all I'm doing is I'm holding these two seams together for reinforcement before I do the final bar tack. There we go. That's enough. Snip it in. That's one side done. There we go. So now I'm going to be doing this side there. So remember, we tape it in on these up until there, then it was parallel all the way up. So I go there on the top of the black in the southern hemisphere. Then I go to the top in the northern hemisphere. Now there's a loop. I bring my needle under and over, and nice thread. Now remember, this is going to be my bar tack, so I'm only just strengthening it somewhat. So I'll do this another through, another run, and I'll do maybe 3. I'm going to be reinforcing it in another presentation to follow. There we go. So I have enough for that to go through. And you don't want it too big, or else this moves around. So that fits snug. That's exactly what you want. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so now from this green in the northern hemisphere to match the green in the southern hemisphere, and I'm going to be going all the way up. Making sure that my northern hemisphere is slightly aft and my southern hemisphere is forward. Remember also from time to time to wax your thread. I want the top green to match the bottom green. making sure that the top matches the bottom all the way through. Center of the red in the north, center of the red at the south. At the end, do a loop, tie it off, go in the top, in the northern hemisphere, go in the southern hemisphere, pull it tight and trim it. There we go. So what I've done on the second seam is I've gone from the waist all the waist all the way to the hip, tied it off at that first black line, measured in the center 21 inches from the selvage, enough space for my belt buckle, for my strap, there it is there. Eventually, in a presentation to come, this is going to sit right over there, just like that. Alright, there it is there. Over those two blacks, measured quite nicely. And then parallel all the way up, just as I've done there. Parallel all the way up. And that's what I've done. Well, that was part 6, folks. What we did there was we measured from the selvage all the way up to the hip. And the hip was 21 inches. In the center of that, I put in my belt strap, and I measured that, making sure that it was nice and firm. And I did a very shallow bar tack just to make sure that the seams aren't going to get untied. And then from my strap all the way to the top of the kilt, I've now paralleled them with those two green lines.